Come along with me for a day in the life of a handmade soap and candle maker. This is an exciting week, not for work. I mean, it is exciting for work stuff, but it's mostly exciting because this is like our first warm week of spring that we're having here in Wisconsin. I'm in Milwaukee, and we've had some really cold days and some yucky weather, and this week is going to be gorgeous. And today it is so nice to get up and go out the door to work out in the morning and not have to wear a coat. So that's the first thing I'm doing. It is a Monday and my husband takes the kids to school. So that means I work out in the morning while he's doing that. Try and get that out of the way and check that off of my list. I feel like if I don't do it first thing in the morning, it's really hard to motivate myself. And I also feel like it definitely helps with my focus. I talked about this a little bit in my ADHD video, but I feel like I do notice a difference. I wish that were not the case. I wish it was just easier to feel focused without having to sweat and torture myself, but I do notice a difference. So I do that first thing in the morning. I eat a little breakfast and then I head up to get ready. I'm very excited getting ready now because I just this past weekend finally bought organizational things for my bathroom. And before this, it was honestly just every bottle and thing was out on the sink, which was a nightmare visually. And it really stressed me out every time. And so I finally just bought some baskets to throw things into. I don't know if any of you follow Casey Davis on social media or if you've read her book, but I love her. And she talks a lot about just the difference between a clean house and a dirty house is just baskets, which obviously is a little tongue in cheek, but just being able to corral all the stuff. I still have a ton of stuff on my countertop, but because it's all hidden in a basket, suddenly look at how organized I am. And then once I'm ready, I get in my car, head to the studio. It's a nice short drive, which is great because I can get straight to work. Sometimes I have a little bit of cleanup from the previous week. I will admit that on a Friday afternoon, I'm not the most motivated to get things clean. So it makes Monday me not so happy, but Friday me, the standards have to be low for Friday, the Friday version of me. Another thing I'm doing before I jump into my workday is I'm updating. I found a way to sort of update my goals sheet for I made a bingo card of my goals for the year. I made a video about it that I will link below. But I saw this on TikTok and I just thought it was a fun visual way to lay out your goals. But the trouble is that a lot of my goals I probably won't hit until later in the year just because of the nature of what they are. They're either things that are probably going to happen during holiday season, or they're things that just take a little while throughout the year to happen. But I decided that a good way to still give myself a visual reminder that I was making progress towards my goal is I would half fill in ones that I was halfway there. So one of my goals is one of the boxes is to read 50 books this year, and I've already read 25. So I did a half fill in, which is exciting because it also gives me an idea of where on the card I'm getting closer to a bingo. Also, I'm more than halfway to 1,000 YouTube subscribers. Thank you to everyone who is helping me get there. But I'm at 800 something right now. So I was oh, I can do half of that. I have about 800 Instagram followers. So I filled in, I'm over halfway to the 1,000, and I'm also halfway to the 1,500 Instagram followers. It just helps me in identifying which goals I'm actually making progress towards, because sometimes you can just get out of the big picture and focus on the day-to-day and get down on yourself when really it's no, you're getting closer. And then once I've done that as a little bit of motivation, I need to start organizing my day. I tried something this week where I opened up my Google Calendar and I just typed in a block for everything I could think of that I needed to do. And then once they were all there, I sort of started rearranging them into which days that would work, when do I have time to do these things. I adjusted the blocks for how long I thought it would take, because obviously I create an hour block for everything, but some of them are just sending an email, which is not going to take me an hour. So I adjusted those and sort of moved them around. And so right now I'm just looking at Monday specifically and figuring out what order I'm going to do these things in and what makes the most sense for the way my schedule falls today and the way that I want to prioritize everything that needs to happen. The first thing I'm going to do is like a fun, quick thing that I can easily cross off my list and feel like I've accomplished something. And that is also related to my goal sheet because I have take a girls trip on my goals list for this year. I have to vote for which Airbnb I want for the girls trip that I'm taking with some of my friends. We're hoping to go, we'll be in the Midwest because these are friends from like all over the country. Some of them are even in Canada. And so we wanted to find like a fairly central location. Also, Airbnbs are a little bit cheaper in the Midwest. And so I just have to vote for the one that I want. And that's like that's a fun to do. It's like one of those things to like gain momentum because I don't want to forget about it because it's sort of time sensitive. We want to book this before things get booked up. But I also like feel like I've accomplished something by doing something that I like was fun to do anyway. Okay, next up is like a real, not that that's not a real task, but this is like a production task that I really need to get on, and that is making some shower steamers. I had a wholesale order come in for 12 units of my tea tree eucalyptus and mint shower steamers and 12 units of my lavender shower steamers. I've already made all the tea tree ones, so now I have to finish off these lavender ones because I want to get this out to this vendor this week. I did mention in a previous video, I can't remember which one, but I talked about the bath bomb press that I use to make my shower steamers and how I was having like a little bit of trouble with how finicky it was in terms of the wetness of the like mixture. And there's obviously dry ingredients and then you mix in the wet ingredients, and the mixture can be a little bit more dry or wet depending on how much which hazel I accidentally dump in there, or even just like the humidity in the air. And as we're changing seasons, the humidity changes. It's all this sort of like ever changing degree of difficulty. And I was having trouble finding like the right amount of wetness for this mixture for the bath bomb press. And I think what I realized is that what's interesting is, although all of these are essential oils that I'm using, so tea tree eucalyptus and spearmint essential oil in the tea tree shower steamers, and then lavender essential oil in the lavender shower steamers, there is a difference in the like viscosity of those different essential oils. The tea tree eucalyptus and mint are all fairly thin and runny, just like sort of like a true liquid. And then the lavender is just a little bit thicker. And I think that that might be contributing to the overall wetness of that mixture, because that's the one I was having more trouble with than the tea tree. So because of that, I added a little bit less witch hazel than I usually do. And I think it made a huge difference. I was able to press all of these shower steamers without an issue. I mean, it's still not quite as seamless as the tea tree ones, but it makes me feel like, okay, I've figured out part of the puzzle and now I've got like a step in the right direction to mastering both of these. My next task I am going to sit down for. I think it is important for me to balance out these like standing, moving production tasks with more like relaxing tasks, or like tasks where I can like sit and work on my laptop. And this is also a really important one. This is like time sensitive, and I need to check this off because we have our Mother's Day pop-up at my studio that is happening on Saturday, May 13th. It's the day before Mother's Day, and we want to start promoting it. We had secured most of the vendors, but we didn't want to start promoting it too far out from when the event is because I feel like people just sort of like forget about it. We don't want to like overload people with promotion for it. So we're doing the initial promotion this week, and then we'll start doing a little bit heavier promotion as we get into May and we get closer to the event. But we do want to put up the sort of like teaser promotional image, which I designed, and I am posting it to my Instagram, making sure I tag all of our vendors. And it's like one of those things that doesn't seem like it should take as long as it does, but writing up the caption, making sure you have everybody's handles right, figuring out like what verbs to use, so you're not like just repeating yourself over and over. And then sharing it both on Instagram and to your stories. I also need to put it in a email newsletter to send out to my subscribers in case people are following me there, but not on social media. So that's what this next section is about. It's really nice to sit on my couch in the front of my studio and just there's this like big window, lots of natural light, especially on a day like today. It makes it feel a lot less like work to have like an environment that's really like fun and sort of cozy. So I managed to do that. I got such a great response from the Instagram post. I invited Chelsea as a collaborator since she is also hosting it, since it's our shared space. And I think sharing it also with her audience sort of elevated just that like joint profile of like both of our followings. I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be a super fun event. I really hope that our turnout is good. I think it has a lot to do with the weather, which we have no control over. If it's a bad weather day, it's going to be tough for turnout for sure, which is a real bummer. But I'm trying not to, there's nothing I can do about it. So I'm trying not to worry too much. But we're just hoping for like a day like this week. I mean, we might get too many people if we get a day this nice. So yeah, so that's like the next big sort of thing. I do have a couple of events in between now and then, but this is something that I think Chelsea and I want to repeat throughout the year. Obviously, it wouldn't be Mother's Day, but we definitely want to do more of these pop-ups. And so this first one, there's a lot of pressure, even though obviously our first one, we're going to learn some things. Some things are not going to go perfect, but we really want it to go as well as possible. So we're trying to be as proactive as we can with promotion. I don't know if we're going to spend any money on promotion this time around. It's sort of a tricky decision. You don't want to spend money when the turnout would have been good anyway, because we're not charging any of the vendors to come be at the event. That was important to us, especially as we're figuring this out. We just want people to be able to come and hopefully make some money for themselves. But that means that like any additional expenses we incur around this is a loss. And so we just want to be like really conscious about that. I do think we're going to print off some physical posters of the design that I made to promote it. And there are like a few spots around this neighborhood that I think get pretty high visibility. So we're hoping that'll be helpful too. And then my next big task for today, my last big task in the studio for today, is I am pouring candles for Jenny Yolo. And she is so great with women-owned businesses in general, but especially here in Milwaukee. She's just always looking to support local women-owned businesses. And so I am collaborating with her on a custom candle for her Yolo Home Co. line. She has other sort of items. She has like t-shirts and tote bags and hats, and she wanted to do a candle. So we are collaborating on that, and we are finally ready to pour them. There was a lot of like figuring out the right fragrance, figuring out the right vessel, and she has handmade all of these concrete vessels, and they look great. They're perfect, I think, for her aesthetic. And I'm really excited about the fragrances that we settled on. So I am officially pouring those today. She'll be selling them at a market this weekend. And so just want to get those like totally ready. There is a tight deadline on those. So a big chunk of my week will be focused on completing those, getting them labeled, packing them up, and sending them off to her. And then once I've poured those candles, it is time to pick up my kid from school. So this is where these like super productive days are so great, but they always end sooner than I want them to. And I noticed for myself at least that once I've picked up my daughter and we've gotten back home, my momentum, it's like I physically hit a wall. I mean, obviously it is just sort of like an energy wall, but I do feel like, oh, I've been hit by a truck and all of my energy is gone. So there's not a lot for me to get done after I've picked her up. I do sometimes save some email communication or some like graphic design work for that time because it's something I can do again, like sitting down on the couch while she has a snack, just like letting my body rest a little bit while still getting work done. And so I've got a few of those things. I'm working with another business on a custom candle for them. I'm really excited that I'm doing more of those kinds of things. And so I've got a sort of message back about that, various emails here and there, but I am just trying to get a few more tasks in, but I also just want to go easy on myself because I'm tired by this time of the day and I don't want to push myself too hard because I want to be present with my family for the rest of the evening. So I'm taking it pretty easy, but I feel really good about today and everything that I got done. I maybe have 1 or 2 days like this a week in terms of productivity. And so I try and appreciate them when I get them, but not hold myself to that standard for every day this week. I know that that won't be something I can replicate 4 more times, but I am thrilled with everything that got done, and I'm so glad that you could come along with me while I was doing it. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, it would really help me if you hit the like button so that I can reach more viewers like you. And if you want to, you can subscribe so you get notified every time I post a new video.